Okay, hello everybody. Thanks for joining the Gartner Technical Steering Committee meeting. Today we are discussing GEP number 66, which is about making the shoot domains mutable. Florian is the author, I think, together with Tim. And yeah, we have all went through the document, and I guess we can directly start with the feedback part or questions part. So if you have anything you want to clarify, please unmute yourself and go ahead.
So are there still open points that you want to talk about?
Yeah. Shadi, go ahead.
Yeah. So sorry, I haven't gone through the entire document after it was recently updated, but now it overall looks quite well. So it's very well structured and streamlined, so on. So it's easier to understand. In the previous version that I reviewed, it was a bit of wild guessing. I kind of got the intention and the details, so it just needed to be a bit of reworked so that it's clear. Maybe one question it was already asked in the review by Tim. I think about the restrictions on the who can modify the external domain via the shoot API. So is this really needed, considering that on shoot create, for example, shoot owners are allowed to set their own domain. So maybe we should let them also change it if they misconfigured the domain for whatever reason. I think they should be able also to change the external domain. I see one risk is if their shoot cluster is using only the external domain, no internal domains, there is operational risk that the cluster could be negatively affected if they update with invalid domain, but it is the shoot owner that has done this, so it's up to them. They can misconfigure anything, like also the credentials that they provide. They can also provide invalid infrastructure credentials, and again, the cluster could go down or something could broke with it. So I think it's acceptable if they misconfigure it, and then they have the option to correct and provide a valid configuration. So do you see any other drawbacks so that it indeed needs to be restricted who can modify the external domain?
I'm personally not seeing any other things, but maybe Tim or
I
somebody
think
else.
this was part of the original concern about misconfiguration, especially regarding the internal domain. But I agree with your argument that it's probably similar to other misconfiguration that the user can do. Even if the user changes the domain, they will still have the old one that worked some when, and it will not be torn down immediately, right? So as long as we cannot provision the DNS record with the new domain or credentials or whatever, we will probably not use it because the flow just fails early. So yeah, if there are no concerns about misconfiguration here, we can drop the protective restriction for the user.
Yeah. Maybe a bit contradicting here, it was I think we agreed to not allow to change the domain once the rotation is started. And if you misconfigure it once, then the shoot reconciliation will fail eventually. And as long as it does not complete, you cannot change it anymore. So maybe this will need to be polished a bit. So
And why
that
don't we allow it? Because I think when the rotation is started or you start the rotation basically with a broken domain, maybe you have a typo. Then the reconciliation should fail, right? Because the records would not be able to get created. And
maybe
during
I'm
this
not sure.
time, we should be able to let the user change the domain and fix it when the phase is still preparing. Because
Yeah.
we can just create a new record, and when it's prepared, then it's successful. There, we should probably not allow it. Yeah.
Yep.
So maybe we could use the advertised addresses field to determine whether the new domain has already been provisioned successfully. So only when that happens, we add the new domain to this list. And if the new domain is already in the list, then API server will reject further updates as long as the rotation is not completed. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
So was it now decided in the later state of the document? Because this was also one point that I had on my open list, or open point on my list, whether we use the advertised addresses or a new status internal domains field in the shoot spec. Or shoot API.
Yes, I changed that because it's one less new field. We can just reuse an existing field.
Yeah.
It's beneficial, I think.
So advertised addresses it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
We will add the old domain with a different name, and it is removed there after the migration was successfully done.
Okay. Yeah. Sounds reasonable.
The only question is what name do we pick? For now, the document states the old domain will be listed under name obsolete-internal.
Okay.
Better suggestions welcome, I guess.
We can
Yes,
discuss that in the PR.
Yes.
This one can be changed during the implementation.
Yeah.
Doesn't need to be set right now, right? We come with better name.
Okay. And I had one question about, I think I read in the document that disabling the internal domain on the seed level is out of scope. Is this still the case? Or
No.
Okay.
This was just a misunderstanding from the whole discussion, and before my vacation, I left the document not in a very consistent state, to be honest.
Okay.
So I fixed that.
Okay. So we support disabling the internal domain on the seed level. We also support it to be disabled individually in the shoot API, right?
In the current version, this is alternative, but we can. Depends on what is needed. So,
okay. So for
So
now,
the easiest option would be to only allow disabling the internal domain on the seed level, because this is only configurable by operators, and I think there were multiple concerns about making it disableable in the shoot spec, right? That's where the original idea came from, to protect this with additional RBAC. But at least from the Stackit perspective, we would be fine with disabling it on the seed level, because in our setup, the users can anyway not choose a custom domain and/or provider. So we technically don't need the internal domain because the operators control the external domain. And in this setup, we could simply get rid of the internal domain entirely and disable it for all seats. That would fulfill our requirements. And as long as nobody needs to disable the internal domain for individual shoots, we can spare the effort.
Okay, even better. Yeah, it is also the better place because there is also the configuration. So, okay, so that means no individual possibility to disable it, no custom work needed, right?
I agree.
Okay.
But I think, Tim, when I remember correctly, in our very first discussion at the hackathon, we also brainstormed about a custom verb on the seed API to prevent accidental changes to the domain. Is still a thing?
I think you were originally concerned that operators might accidentally misconfigure that, right?
Yeah.
I wouldn't be too much concerned about this one.
Yeah, okay. So then custom verb is completely out of the picture now. Yeah.
Yeah, if we figure out that this should be protected additionally, we can still add the custom verb.
Okay, yeah, good.
I think there's one open question by the other Tim. You asked about switching the DNS providers when changing the domain. I think we haven't considered this yet, although I was wondering whether there's some additional complication involved in this that you could imagine.
I think validation-wise, it would be because you should not be allowed to remove DNS providers as long as they're in use, of course. So if you're in the prepare phase and both domains are active, each one belonging to a different provider, then you must not remove one. So this would be one implication I can think of. Yeah, for the rest, not so sure. Should be straightforward.
Yeah. So the same reason for keeping multiple internal domains in the seed spec also applies here, right? Because you
Yes.
might start the migration and then the credentials get invalidated externally, whatever. Then you need to have a mechanism for updating the old credentials. That's the
Exactly.
reason, correct? Okay.
I think use case wise, it would make sense, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be part of the GEP even, but when we can consider it some kind of enhancement. But I think many people, operators will encounter the use case that they, for example, want to switch the DNS provider, or they introduced a new hosted zone, have different credentials for that hosted zone whatsoever. So it would be really nice to allow that as well.
Yes. Maybe we should list that as a future enhancement in the proposal to have it in the back of the mind, but for now, at least we don't have a concrete use case for it, but we might have in the future actually. So, yeah, we can list that we need to keep multiple providers for this. Yeah.
When we're talking about it, I think, but you're kind of opening up for that use case. So once you allow the DNS or the domain to be changed by the user, you're allowing to switch the providers at the same time. So you either have to forbid that, or you have to do the validation we just talked about, right? Because if you don't do anything in this area, then you probably will allow people to to break the cluster in a really bad way.
Yes. Okay, you're right. If we don't see this as in the scope of the first iteration, we should deny changing the provider when changing the domain. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So would you be fine with starting with this approach and later adding support for changing the domain provider if needed?
It's fine for me.
Cool. Sounds good.
I don't know whether this was discussed in the document, but I have it on my list. So the question was whether we should have a constraint in the shoot status when the internal domain was changed to make the user aware that they should rotate their CA.
Yes, I added that.
Okay, cool.
Was added.
Is there any plan how to do that? Is that like a constraint at the shoot that is being added then? Or okay.
Yeah.
Nice, thank you.
So as soon as the operator adds a new desired domain in the internal domain list in the seed, then this constraint will pop up to ask the user to perform the credentials rotation.
Yeah, but in addition, the human operators should notify them.
Yes, obviously.
Out of Gardener. Yeah, okay. Because people might not see it. Okay.
Not to ask to perform the rotation, but to inform them that the next rotation will change the domain.
Yes, also this.
Not sure if we need some kind of double confirmation force because users may have automated the rotations, and I mean the CA rotation, and they might not notice the constraint. And if they just trigger the CA rotation next time.
But for the internal domain, it's not really critical, right? They should not use it anyway.
Actually, it could be because the external domain is optional, and if their cluster is using only the internal domain,
okay,
then
the internal domain is also used in the service account issuer. If you don't use the managed issuer.
So maybe in this case, it should not be just triggering the CA rotation, but some other confirmation must be required by the end user to make them certain they know what they are doing.
You mean in case they use their service account issuer, or
if they have automated via some pipelines the CA rotation, like every 2 weeks, for example, and they might not notice the constraint in the shoot that was put by Gardenlet. So if they trigger the rotation after the internal domain was changed, they might not know that they can lose connectivity to their cluster. So
yes, they should confirm updating the internal domain explicitly. Good point.
confirm via how? Confirmation annotation.
Probably there's another operation like update internal domain or whatever that you need to set in addition to rotate credentials start or something like this.
Why not this confirmation annotation thing that we already have for confirming a deletion? If this was confirmed, we just do it. And if not, we don't.
Something similar.
Yeah, it's probably better. You're right.
Okay.
Okay, so that means when the operator adds a new internal domain, and the user starts the credentials rotation, probably on an automated basis. It will not automatically pick up the new internal domain, but only if the user previously added this confirmation annotation. So then they can control exactly when the migration should happen, and probably the operator will give them multiple months of a timeline or something like this. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
this is probably better.
Oh, I was thinking to disallow the PA rotation when the the domain is changed, but what you propose also makes sense, because otherwise this could be a unintended breaking change if you disavow the CA rotation also for the end user.
Yep.
But
Yeah,
we do not see an end date to this. So basically forceful migration.
I guess that would need to be coordinated and executed out of band. So
Yeah, okay.
I guess operators can anyway set the annotations and trigger the rotations if the end user does not react in time. So
Yeah, okay. But I mean, for other components, we do that automatically. I'm completely fine with not doing it here. I'm just trying to be explicit here. So basically, we are saying if the internal domain needs to be rotated, the operator will change it in the seed cluster. The cluster owner can see that in the constraints, and the cluster owner can react with the confirmation annotation so that then during the next TA rotation, it will happen. And if the confirmation annotation is not there, it will just stay with the same old internal domain, and somehow the operator needs to either convince the cluster owner or yeah, change it directly if they want. I don't know. But
yeah,
so we don't have a hard deadline as with the cloud profiles and so on with Gartner Controller Manager then doing stuff. We don't do that. Yeah, that's
yeah.
also fine.
I think in this case, the operating model might be different between companies and so on, which makes it harder to find a good solution for everybody for automating this, I guess.
It's hopefully also not happening so often. I think with the Kubernetes versions and operating system versions, that's something that really happens
Yes.
regularly. And I would hope, I don't know, but I hope that we don't regularly need to change domains.
Yeah.
I think another question was, I think from Ismail. Well, I don't know. How this replacement of the single value for the internal domain with future list of multiple internal domains in the seed API will be done with respect to API compatibility. Is this now outlined, or did you already think about it?
Shortly discussed it, Florian.
Yeah,
Right? Did you
we
already
could have
add it to the GEP?
we could have both fields and automatically sync so that you have the valid internal domain in the internal domain field and the list of internal domains is next to it in parallel, and just have to make sure that the internal domain field contains the valid value, so the new
What is it?
internal domain in that case.
Shouldn't it be the old one, maybe? In spec internal domain, the field that exists today.
Mm,
Okay.
I think it should be the desired one, so the first one in the list.
So when would it change then? This would
Okay.
have to happen during the migration. At which point? Because
Yep.
it depends if all the shoots are migrated. And so this should be
Okay.
the desired one, I think, yes.
Technically speaking, an existing client might not know about the new field and the new semantics, so it would continue reading from the existing field, the single value, And it would just take this as the desired internal domain.
Yeah.
Which, in case of a migration happening, would be the first one in the list.
Okay, yeah, makes sense. If it's not in the doc, maybe we can spend a word on it.
Okay, I didn't get it. So, I mean, are we targeting basically to have both fields, so the single value field and the list field forever in the specification? Or are we migrating from one to the other over time and removing one of them?
Removing the old one will probably only happen when we remove the API version and graduate to V1, right?
I'm asking because we have done incompatible changes before, right?
Okay.
And it is
Fair enough.
not V1, it's beta, right?
Yeah, you're
So
right.
no, I'm just asking. I mean, I can see basically both ways going forward. I think there are also other Kubernetes resources, for example, the node with podsitter and podsitters, where you basically have two entries, the old school one for compatibility and the new one with multiple values. And we can do that, and we can then argue whether we change the one and it's just the desired state, the desired internal domain, and so on. Or we could say, for example, we have now the old configuration is a single value, the new configuration is multiple values, and you have, at some point in time, you have to switch from one to the other, and only one is allowed, and that one will be used. And as we only use, I mean, your argument with old clients, basically we only use it. Gardenet uses this.
Yeah.
So it's something we update.
You're right. It's not a user-facing API. That's why we might be able to break much
Users
faster.
can list the seeds in general, but I agree that it should be possible that we, after some time, just drop the old field and the impact should be quite controllable, I would guess. I don't think people actively use this field. Yeah. So the real
I would be
only client
surprised
is
at
Gardenlet.
least.
Yeah.
Okay, then we can do the syncing as the first step when introducing the new field, and then we already set a deprecation time, like 3 releases or what we usually do for the old field. And then we remove it.
Yeah. Should be fine.
Cool.
There is already a guide how to remove deprecated fields. So, I mean, there is a process, and also for the seed API, and I was applying it for the work quote identity implementations. There we were switching from secret refs to credential refs. So it should be similar here. So we should not live forever with the singular internal domain field. And after a couple of Gardener versions, we should be able to remove it.
Yeah, sounds good. We can follow that.
Okay.
I had one more thing. The impact or the implications on GEP-0066, which is the self-hosted shoot exposure. Did you think about the possibility to change the domain there, or would it work in the same way, or is there anything we need to pay special attention to? I guess it would require some extra effort in the self-hosted shoot exposure controller so that it can also handle new and old domain during the credentials rotation, right? Because the DNS record is not created in the shoot reconciliation for self-hosted shoots.
Ah, you mean the new controller in the Gardenlet that updates either the DNS record or the self-hosted shoot object. Ah.
Yes. So the shoot for self-hosted shoots, the shoot controller that you all know does not do anything with DNS records. There's anyways no internal domain, so this is completely out of the picture. And the external domain is not handled there. And there's a new controller called self-hosted shoot exposure, which takes care of maintaining the DNS record object.
But only if you use the DNS exposure strategy, right? If you use the extension strategy, delegating load balancer creation or similar to an extension, then Gardenlet will still create the DNS record, right?
Gardenlet, yes, but not the full controller. Let me check. But last time I looked.
I also remember that during your last change, you disabled that part for self-hosted in the shoot controller.
Yes.
Okay. Then I might not be up to date here. In any
Yeah,
case, if you
so
don't use the extension and use the plain DNS strategy, definitely this secondary controller will manage the DNS record object, so it will be will need to support the migration scenario if we want to
yeah,
allow it.
I just looked it up. So even if we have a self-hosted shoot exposure object where we get a load balancer, then after that got reconciled, it enters the IP in the status into the DNS record and maintains it. So it's the same controller. The shoot controller
Same
is not doing
controller.
anything.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess we can just implement it the same way in this controller. Can
Yeah,
we?
sure. You can. I mean, it needs to be aware of the rotation phase and just create two DNS records, right? Should be the same effort, more or less.
Easy. Yeah, I guess as a first step, we could deny changing it in self-hosted shoots until we implemented it in this controller. But it's probably not in the focus of the GEP.
It's not the focus, but it's a
Yeah.
new scenario that, yeah, will be quite prominent in the ecosystem, I guess, eventually, someday.
Yeah.
And we should support it also.
Yeah, I'm not saying we shouldn't support it, but we can do the implementation in a phased manner.
Yeah, of
And
course.
until we have completed the implementation, we can just deny it in validation.
Yeah, sure. This could be the last thing you do if you want. But I think the GEP should maybe spend a short paragraph about it. That
Yeah.
this is what needs to be done. This is the controller there for this scenario, and the approach is the same, just a different controller, more or less.
Yeah, so we don't see any conceptual issue with implementing this support. It just needs to be done. Okay.
Yes. Yeah, I don't have anything else on my list.
Me neither. All good from my side.
Me too.
Same here.
Same here.
Florian?
Yeah,
Any final last minute changes?
I think I have a list of things that just need to be added and modified, and then
Yeah,
I think
Yeah.
we're good to go.
I will send around the meeting minutes as usual based on this discussion. And then we can finalize the doc and get it merged. But I think, yeah, conceptually everything is clear now, and everybody seems to be happy and agree.
Okay. Great.
Okay, then let's close the meeting. Thanks for showing up. Have a nice day. See you next time.
See you. Bye.
See you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.